position, that's a big shot. Turner's wilting, he's surely going to go. The referee is not intervening. Turner's got nothing left, nothing.
Hello, fight fans, and welcome to Heavy Jabs, the home of boxing breakdowns, where we jab away the hype and dive into the gritty, the clever, and the outright bonkers underbelly of the sweet science. If you're ready for wild takes, sharp insights, and uppercuts of humor so strong they'll make your Wi-Fi stutter, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more inside scoops, because today we're diving headfirst into a British dust-up that's so spicy. It's giving Vindaloo a crisis of confidence. That's right, it's Jack the Demolition Man Rafferty versus Mark Thunder Chamberlain, a British and Commonwealth firefight that's got the pub chatters and the armchair analysts foaming at the mouth with hot takes and cold brews. So who will emerge victorious in this high-stakes collision? Is it the undefeated local hero Jack Rafferty, who's been breaking jaws and snatching belts like it's Keek Grand Theft Auto? Or is it Thunder Chamberlain, the southpaw slugger with a left so heavy it's what keeps British weather gloomy year-round? Let's jab through the smoke, dodge the cliches, and give you the kind of analysis that keeps those dopamine receptors firing all day long. Let's start with Jack Rafferty, a fighter so patient he could probably queue at the post office for 12 rounds without losing his cool. Rafferty built his reputation in the trenches of Britain's off-TV circuit, where the only bright lights came from the kebab stand outside the venue. He's undefeated, he's aggressive, and with the nickname Demolition Man. You already know, subtlety is not his middle name, unless subtlety means rearranging rib cages and carrying a sledgehammer in each fist. If you watched his recent contests, you saw a man who stalks, presses, and invests early in the kind of bodywork that leaves opponents looking for emergency Uber rides by round 6. Rafferty is orthodox. Think classic, think symmetry, think a left jab like your credit score. Reliable, predictable, and occasionally devastating if you're caught unprepared. When the bell rings, Rafferty doesn't just walk you down, he ambushes your stamina, slowly draining every last drop with suffocating pressure and thudding shots downstairs, all while grinning like he's just remembered he left a pizza in the oven at home. He doesn't chase knockouts with reckless abandon. He turns them into a patient art form, giving his rivals hope early before gently removing it by the mid to late rounds. It's like a motivational seminar, except each round is motivational for Rafferty and existentially worrying for his opponent. But before we crown Rafferty as the next Wall Street Bull, let's step into the ring with Mark Chamberlain, whose nickname is Thunder. And yes, that means he brings the storm. Chamberlain, hailing from Hampshire, is what happens when you mix slick southpaw skills with the charming subtlety of a battering ram. While Demolition Man sounds like a guy you'd call to knock your granny's shed down, Thunder is the type you'd call in to ensure the neighbors never sleep again. Chamberlain's pro career began with the type of highlight reel knockouts that make trainers question their life choices. If you've not seen his left hand in action, just imagine being hit by a cubic meter of wet cement, and you're in the right ballpark. He racked up a string of KO wins in the lightweight division, making more noise than a discount firework factory. But here's the plot twist. Chamberlain suffered his first professional defeat last year, and you know British boxing fans, they treat a single loss like a national crisis. But Mark isn't here for sympathy. He immediately dusted himself off, jumped up in weight, and is now itching to tear up the script and prove he's more than a flash in the pan. Now let's talk styles. Are we about to see a technical chess match or a pub brawl masquerading as a contest? Rafferty comes with classic pressure fighter tendencies. He closes distance better than your phone signal in a power cut and doesn't mind eating a shot if it means he can serve 3 of his own with chips on the side. He's not the type to give his opponent room to breathe, let alone set up their offense. In his last few fights, he's shown an ability to break down elusive, quick-footed southpaws, which is relevant because Chamberlain brings precisely that awkward lefty stance and movement. Chamberlain, for his part, is all about that explosive offense and tricky angles southpaws love. Imagine you're playing rock, paper, scissors, and he keeps throwing a left straight every time you blink. The advantage for him? Well, southpaws are rare and most orthodox fighters have about as much fun facing them as a cat has getting a bath. His footwork is sharp, and his hand speed is enough to trigger involuntary muscle spasms in the viewer. Mark likes to build his attacks off a jab that feels more like a missile launch, then follows with combinations that look straight out of a how-to manual on causing maximum confusion. Chamberlain, for his part, is all about that explosive offense and tricky angles southpaws love. Imagine you're playing rock, paper, scissors, and he keeps throwing a left straight every time you blink. The advantage for him? Well, southpaws are rare, and most orthodox fighters have about as much fun facing them as a cat has getting a bath. His footwork is sharp, and his hand speed is enough to trigger involuntary muscle spasms in the viewer. Mark likes to build his attacks off a jab that feels more like a missile launch, then follows with combinations that look straight out of a how-to manual on causing max. But let's not get too misty-eyed about styles make fights. Experience is the seasoning that turns a raw contest into a feast for the boxing gods. Rafferty spent years slogging it out on the small hall scene, learning to fight with and without a crowd. Forget home advantage. The guy is so adaptable, he could probably box in total darkness and still find his opponent's chin. Since moving up to televised fights, Rafferty hasn't just kept up, he's leveled up. Every time the stakes rise, Rafferty brings a little more patience, a little more savvy, and a whole lot more pain for his opposite number. Chamberlain, with fewer fights at this heavier weight, might lack some seasoning in the physical sense. But don't write him off as tender meat. He's tasted defeat and knows just what it feels like to have the rug pulled out from underneath him. That gives a man two choices. Either he doubly checks the rug next time, or he walks in with a blowtorch and a chip on his shoulder. Chamberlain's bounce-back win shows he's not here for moral victories. He's here to take heads and titles. Let's have an honest look at intangibles. Mind games, grit, chin, heart. The things you can't measure in a BoxRec spreadsheet. Rafferty carries himself with the energy of a guy who's seen it all and probably punched it too. There's a toughness about him, built up in untelevised venues where the ring announcer is one half of the security detail. His chin? Let's just say brick walls have asked him for advice. He's never tasted defeat, and that brings its own kind of confidence, a confidence that can border on complacency if he's not careful. Chamberlain, meanwhile, has that southpaw swagger. The kind of self-belief that comes from knowing you've ruined more weekends than a surprise rainstorm at a British barbecue. Having felt the sting of defeat, he's shown resilience, and there's nothing quite as dangerous as a motivated southpaw moving up a division with something to prove. He's already carried his power up in weight, and if he can bring his speed with it, he might just have the formula to spring the upset. Now for the heavyweight question everyone's asking. Who wins and why? On paper, Rafferty is the favorite. Undefeated, riding high, with his hands full of belts and a style that chews up southpaws and spits them out like flavorless bubblegum. He's the master of steady pressure, clever timing, and that bodywork that breaks men's will with surgical precision. If the fight turns physical and grinds into the second half, you can almost see Rafferty's grin growing wider each round. But, and there's always a but, Chamberlain isn't showing up just to be another headline in Rafferty's career montage. The move to super lightweight could be the best thing that ever happened to him. Bigger platform, bigger fights. And a chance to silence all the doubters quicker than a faulty smoke alarm. His southpaw stance, if partnered with mobility and the ability to create angles, can frustrate even the most relentless presser. If he lands clean early, questions remain about what happens when the Demolition Man isn't the only one swinging sledgehammers. Here's where things get tasty for our viewers. Rafferty has the resume, but Chamberlain has the narrative. The underdog, the comeback kid, the guy who lost, learned, and leveled up. It's the kind of dynamic that's turned many a scriptwriter green with envy. Will experience and endurance win out over hunger and lefties with something to prove? For 3 or 4 rounds, expect fireworks. Chamberlain darting in, letting his hands go, trying to stamp authority and stop Rafferty's rhythm faster than a DJ at an awkward wedding. But as the rounds wear on, pay close attention to the body shots and the pressure. If Chamberlain slows down, his night could end draped over the ropes, wishing his nickname was Thunder for the way he fell, not the way he landed. If, however, Chamberlain comes in with a slick game plan, mixes movement with dazzling flurries, and doesn't let Rafferty settle, we could see a genuine upset in the making. He'll need the fight of his life, some tactical wizardry, and nerves of steel. But hey, stranger things have happened in boxing. Ask any British heavyweight with a passport. The wild card factor? The crowd. Both have fans willing to scream themselves hoarse, but this is Rafferty's home turf. Expect the energy to be electric, the chants almost as entertaining as the action, and the pressure for a big performance to be sky high. Will that fuel the fire or fry the nerve endings? We'll just have to see. So who takes it? If he forced me to empty my already empty wallet, I'd lean toward Jack Rafferty. His grit, relentless pressure, and growing confidence with each big night make him a slight favorite. But in boxing, predictions age faster than a milk carton on a sunny windowsill, and Chamberlain's explosive power and awkward stance mean he's a danger every second the fight continues. Boxing fans, don't blink. This is the kind of domestic battle that can tip either way with a single mistake or a flash of genius. It's pressure against power, experience versus the hunger of redemption. If you're looking for a pick, sure, it's probably Rafferty on points or a late stoppage. But if Thunder finds lightning in his gloves, don't say Heavy Jabs didn't warn you. If you want more breakdowns laced with wit, wisdom, and maybe the occasional insult toward British weather, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We've got the jabs, you bring the banter. Until next time, this is Heavy Jabs reminding you, when in doubt, always keep your guard up.